When you can take all of these things and put it together and use it in this information that I present to you tonight, you are going to have more power than you can imagine over these people. Maybe not power to command them, but they certainly won't be trying to claim any power over you. A lot of us, we look at them as bullies. I've dealt with a lot of bullies in my life. The bully wants to find the weakest person. If they know that you are going to fight them, and you're going to just keep fighting them, eventually they know that what's going to happen, you're going to figure out their little bully tricks, and there's going to come a day where you're going to start winning. Or eventually the whole schoolyard is going to watch you fight them and say, hey, he's not that tough, let's get him. And the whole schoolyard jumps on him. They're not happy with this. Now, I've achieved the status of a free man on the land. I've been researching the law probably about 6 years now. Last count, I got about 17,000 hours in studying the law, deconstructing it, acting as an agent for people, and helping people find remedy within the system. A free man on the land, in case you don't know what it is, a free man on the land is a human being in a common law jurisdiction who has revoked consent to be represented and thus governed, and therefore is not subject to any statutory obligations, restraints, bylaws, orders, anything like that. What you call a law has nothing to do with me. And this has been proven to me a number of times. The last time I got stopped by a cop, 11:30 at night, I'm at a bus station. I'm at a bus stop. I got 12 beer beside me. I'm going over to my friend's place. I crack a beer, a cop goes by, I went, oh, this is going to be fun. He pulls right up, he gets right out, and you know how they get out, they're all angry. Hey, what are you doing? You're drinking in public, that's against the law. You know I could arrest you under the Liquor Licensing Act, the Liquor Control Act, and I could confiscate your beer. The first thing I do, God's peace to you, good officer. If you're going to arrest me, I want you to know I'm a peaceful man and there will be no violence necessary. But I'm pretty sure you don't have the legal right to do any of that. So I immediately bring him down. He gets to a point where there's no more anger there. You can talk to them if there's no more anger there. So he starts asking me, well, what's your name? And actually he said, I could confiscate your beer. I said, you're going to remove my beer without clear lawful authority? Because that's the definition of confiscate. So at that point, you start using some of these words, and you know the definition of them. He's going to step back a little bit. He's looking for the weak. He's looking for the people who have no idea what these words mean. He asked me for my name. I said, well, I'd love to help you, but I don't know if you're operating legally or lawfully. I don't know if you want my legal name or a lawful name. He goes, well, I'm acting legally. I want your legal name. I said, do you have proof of claim? I have an obligation to have such a thing? Okay, fine. I'm acting lawfully. Fine. My name's Rob. What's your last name? Why do you need that if you're acting lawfully? I don't even have a last name. I have a family name. Okay, well, what's your family name? So finally, he seemed like a decent guy. We were talking a little bit. He used to do masonry. I told him I was a mason. So I gave him the information. He punches it in his computer. He's there. I'm sitting over here. He punches my name in the computer, looks at it, squints. I smile and wave. He looks at it, gets on the horn. He's on that horn for a good 5 minutes. Comes out, puts down the horn. He's like, comes out. You know what he says to me? Mr. Menard, the West Vancouver Police Department would be deeply appreciative if you would refrain from drinking alcohol in public. Couldn't get away fast enough. They punch my name in that computer. It comes up, free man on the land, no statutory charges without the express written consent of the Attorney General. They don't want anything to do with me. This is the power that you can have over these people. This is what, it doesn't mean there is no law. It doesn't mean that I can go out and I can harm. It doesn't mean I can damage property. It doesn't mean I can use fraud in my contract. It just means that they can't use their words to dictate my actions. They're not my words. Now, why is it that they get to apply these words against you, but they don't apply them against me? What have I done that has allowed this situation to develop? It's very simple. You're all sinners. Yeah, not that I'm a saint, because I'm not, but you are all sinners. You have a social insurance number. Do you know what that means?
You sin. You're collateral to them.
Close. It was a rhetorical question. They have ruled, they identify it. When you go in there, they call that social insurance number an employee identification number. If you want to pay into the Canada Pension Plan, you need a social insurance number. The courts have ruled payment into a pension plan is prima facie evidence of employee status. Only employees pay into a pension plan. They'll tell you you need this number to work legally in Canada. Change the in to for and you're closer to the truth. You're working for Canada. If someone tells you, I work legally in Walmart, are they not also then automatically working legally for Walmart? The fact is, your social insurance number means you are all government agents. When I hear you complaining about the government, I don't hear citizens complaining about their lawful government. I hear employees bitching about their employer.
You're sinning.
You're the sinner. That is your original sin. You were born into abundance, into freedom. And you went and you gave it all up, and now, the way to look at it, the reason this is important, imagine a box of chocolates for a minute. Okay, imagine it, I want you all to imagine it, and I'll stand here until it manifests. Come on, you're laughing, not imagining. Imagine a box of chocolates. You take a chocolate out of the box. What happens to it? Within 24 hours, it's shit. Chocolates stay in the box. The Constitution Act is the box of chocolates. The Constitution restricts and constrains all statutes, regulations, orders, and bylaws. Those are the chocolates. They stay in the box. Let's close that box up and look at who it is addressed to. Then we know who we can force feed these chocolates to. Look in Section 32 of the Constitution Act, and it will tell you that this Constitution Act, and therefore everything constrained within it, this box of chocolates and the chocolates, are applicable only to federal, provincial, and municipal agents, employees, and those. And that's why all of these acts, all of these statutes have the force of law over you, because you are a government agent. These rules were never ever meant so that governments could control us. These are the rules that are in place so that we can control our government. You go into Walmart, a Walmart employee, he's going to have certain rules that he's not allowed to do things. He can't come in and have alcohol on his breath. Who says you can't go into Walmart after having a couple of beer? You don't work there. All of these rules that they use, the Income Tax Act, that's why you have to pay income tax. If you go to a temporary job placement agency, they will set you up with a job, but now you have to pay them a portion of what you earned. Why? Because you were working as an agent for them. That's why you have to pay income tax to the federal government. You are working as a federal agent under a contract for service instead of a free man under a contract for hire. I think of it like a tiger in a cage. You go to a zoo, you find a tiger, there's a big cage around it. You all jumped into the tiger's enclosure, and now you're complaining about the fangs and the sharp claws of the tiger. But what separates, if you go to a zoo, what separates the tiger from the people who are just there to enjoy the zoo?
Bars.
Yeah, a cage made of bars. What are lawyers a member of? The bar. The purpose of these lawyers are to act to separate us from the tiger with all their claws. Now, if we can step outside of the cage, if we can step outside of the box, instead of having to worry about, oh, here's a chair, here's a whip, here's how you fight the tiger, get him in the corner, and do, no, you just step out of the box. You don't go poking the tiger with a stick from the other side of the cage. I mean, that's not going to be nice. But you can just say, no, I'm done with you. I'm done with all of your words. I'm going for a hot dog and some candy floss, and you're staying in your cage. These are their words. I have less information about Alberta statutes, but I'm willing to bet it's very similar to what I find in British Columbia. Under the Legal Profession Act, it states that only members of the Legal Profession Act may create documents for use in court, may create or file documents for use in court. What are statutes? What are regulations? What are orders? Words that they alone create. Even if we say our representatives are doing it, it goes through the lawyers and they say either yes or no to it. Remember, a statute is defined as a legislated rule of a society which has been given the force of law. Who can give these words the force of law over you? Only you. Everything that you complain about the government is all a result of your voluntary actions. No one forced you to take a sin. You went and you begged for it. You applied, you submitted an application for your sin. Now, the good thing about it, I looked into that act, when I figured this out, I looked into that act like a 13-year-old looks into a brothel. I was like, I'm going to figure this out. You know what one thing they can't do? You know what they can't do? They can't stop you from abandoning that number. No one can force you to be their employee for the rest of your life. You can abandon that number at any time, and the moment you do, you are no longer within that box. Now, they'll try to continue placing these orders upon you. They'll try to continue controlling your life, but there are ways to deal with that as well. I got a question for you. Who here has a driver's license?
Unfortunately.
Okay, now who here, keep your hands in the air. Okay, put your hands down if you put your hand up higher. I see you cheating. Higher. Put your hands down if you actually read the Motor Vehicle Act before applying for your license. Huh. How do you know you have any obligation under that act to have a license if you've never even read it?